The Final Furlong Podcast is proudly brought to you by Jeff Banks Bet. Get up to £500 refunded as real money for new Jeff Banks online accounts after your first month of betting. Use promo code FFP500 at jeffbanks.bet.
Welcome along to the Final Furlong Podcast and our weekend preview. I'm Emmet Kennedy. It is great to have you with us. Hopefully we will find you some winners for the gravy train. Helping us along as usual on a Thursday is Andy Newton from Trainer Quotes and Sportscasting. Some great content there, and making his glorious return to the Final Furlong Podcast after the mayhem and chaos of the Cheltenham Festival, and in form with winners too. Peter Michael, welcome back to the show.
Cheers, boys. Great to be back with both of you.
Good to have you back, mate.
Good to have you back.
Good to be back.
1:15 Doncaster is where we're going to kick things off. We're switching to the flat. Don't worry, Jumps content still to come. You can still listen to the Yes No Game Show Grand National special, where we go through every contender for the Grand National at Aintree. Yes or no from the panel. That's a really fun show. I highly recommend watching it or listening to it if you haven't yet. And if you've not already hit the subscribe button to this channel, please do so, and like this video. It's much appreciated. But to the flat we go. The 1:15 Brocklesby. We're all just picking stuff out of thin air here. Who do we like in the first 2-year-old race of the season with no form to go on? Peter Michael.
I thought Andy wanted to go first with his hand up there. But
I got a pin up here, so but yeah. No,
what a race to come back to. 17 runners, none of them ever ran in there. Like, it's Brocklesby, obviously, as we know, first 2-year-old race of the season in the UK. Lads, how can we pick in this race? I mean, to be honest, I don't think anybody should bet in it. If you want to bet in it, have a fiver each way and an outsider, and maybe just go for the Borum Bullish, because Bill Turner does well in this race, as we know, and he's booked Billy Loughnane. But I mean, how can you have an opinion on it? You know, I don't know how the bookies even come up with that. Obviously, I know there'll be a few talking horses in there, and they'll be shorter in the betting, but anything can win it, really. But Andy is the stats man. Andy, tell us.
Yeah, Andy, anything there about pedigrees that stand out to you?
Well, I mean, look, Dylan Cunner, he won it last year, and he's got that Come a Chameleon going. Boy George isn't riding it, but Kieran Schumacher. So, look, that is probably vying for favouritism with the Hannon horse, that Norman's K, that he's probably going to go off as the market leader.
Boy George might give it a better ride than Kieran Schumacher. Sorry, you have to get that in.
He's been all right recently.
Fired on the first show back.
I'm only messing. I couldn't resist that.
He's knocking the jockeys already. Hey, you only been back 5 minutes. Hey, so yeah, look, Norman's K is going to be the Richard Hannon team are going quite at the moment, and I think they won this 2000 version Force, and I think it's got a load of entries in these sales races later in the season, as does the Cunner horse, Come a Chameleon. So they're the two that are going to be at the top of the market. But like Peter said, look, if you want one at a bigger price, Bill Turner, he absolutely loves this race, and 6 winners in it. The Borum Bullet, Billy Loughnane, I think he rode the winner a couple of years ago as well. So that's probably the value call. But look, it's going to be place pot race as well to get everyone going, which is going to be a nightmare. So, I don't think we've had a favourite in the last 2. So it has thrown up a couple of semi-big price winners, 10-1, 16-1 in the last couple of years. So, I don't know. The only other one I suppose probably worth betting, that Sucking Diesel. Alex Haynes' horse, Filly gets the allowance. So yeah, it's just a lottery, boys, isn't it? The betting's going to help a bit, but Come a Chameleon probably, and the Borum Bullet.
This is a total guess up. I have no idea. I can tell you that Proform, which is one of the best handicapping services out there and has incredible data, they're top rated. I'm not even sure how they did this, but their top rated is Lady of Honor, who is the 66-1 outsider of the field. So
wow,
maybe we should just all throw a few quid on the Seb Spencer horse and not ask any questions and just get excited for the next race. It's a bit of a nightmare race to look at. Mighty Vega is interesting on pedigrees, especially being by Sioux Nation. Sucking Diesel is interesting, being an acclamation, tremendous with early season 2-year-olds. Alex Haynes is obviously brilliant with juveniles. Kieran O'Neill rides. Dam's Family with Scream Speed. If that horse is ready, then Sucking Diesel could be the one to have us all sucking diesel in the first live race on ITV. 150 at Doncaster. It's the William Hill Spring Mile Handicap. Over the straight mile, 22 runners. Very strong pace forecast according to Timeform. Who is your idea of the winner, Peter Michael?
Yeah, another tough race. Obviously, 22 runners. Beginning of the flat season, we just, it's a time of year now that's not going to be easy for punters. So we have to tread carefully. I'm sure anyone listening to this will know this already. You're kind of guessing if horses haven't had a prep run, you're kind of guessing who's fit, who isn't fit. I guess trainer's form is a good guide at this time of the year. But I'm going to go with my old friend in this. He's a nice price. I think he's quite overpriced, actually. Tolstoy, he's 33-1. He's done me a few favours last year in my tipping service. I've tipped him up a couple of times and he's won for me. I'm just bringing him up here. Yeah, he's 33-1. I'm seeing here anyway, best price in the Racing Post. I don't know what he is with Jeff. He clicked into gear last year. There was money for him when I think it was York, he started his winning run. I'm just bringing it up here 1 second, lads. Yeah, it was York. He started his winning run the 14th of June off 74. There was good money for him, even though he ended up 18-1. Money came from late. And he won nicely, and then he backed it up to, he won 3 in a row. And then he should have won at Ascot on the 27th of July. I have absolutely no doubt about that. That for me was one of the worst rides of the year. I don't know. I went on about it last year. I don't know what William Buick was thinking for a man of his caliber, as so many people say. If you watch that race, I'd put that down on just absolute brainless ride. And then he won after that in Newcastle. I don't really think he's an all-weather horse, but he won after that. And then forget the run after that in Doncaster. He just took off with Shea Farmer. And he missed the break and he took off. And then the time before that, I think it was it the Cambridgeshire? Or the Cesarewitz, sorry. Yeah, the Cambridgeshire. Yeah, he had an off day. He missed the break and never got into it. Probably he'd had enough racing. Was given a prep run there on the at Wolverhampton, always at the back. And if you actually watch it, was it Ben Robinson who rode him? Ben Robinson, yeah. Ben gave him a crack at a whip, just a backhander about a furlong from home. The horse picked up for it, and then straight away Ben locked him in again. It's like, no, you're not going any faster than where you are. We want you to stay here. So I was happy with that run, even though, when you look at it, he was beaten 7 lengths. He was 11th out of 12th. That was just a pipe opener for today. And as I said, when Ben gave him a little tap, he actually picked up for it, and he was about to make ground, but Ben just shut up shop on him straight away. So he's a nice price, 33-1. Look, it's hard to know in a field of this size. It's hard to know. Horses are coming back from long layoffs. They've improved. Some might need it, some mightn't. Drawn low, there's pace there. I think this horse could outrun his price. It's 33-1, and I'd make him much less. I'd make him at least around 12 or 14 to 1 shot maximum for this race.
Okay, can you Can you give me that horse's name again, please?
Tolstoy in the 150.
Tolstoy is 33-1 with Jeff Banks bet as we're recording. I'm not sure if he's still going to be 33-1 by the time this show is up for an hour or so. Well,
to be honest, I from Emmet, look, it's a wide open race. I just make him more. I'd make him more around a 12 to 1 shot. That's what I'd make him. And he's had his pipe up and everything. And I still think he can be competitive off 90. Now, I don't know if he's going to turn up this season in the form he was in the last season. Obviously, his form kind of tailed off his last 2 runs last season, but he had excuses. But if he comes back into if you take that run at Ascot when he was 6th, because that's his last turf run that he ran to form on, and he's only 4 pounds higher, he won't be a million miles away.
Okay, I like that a lot. I thought Arthur's Run was interesting. He was 3rd in this race last year off the same mark. He's got a classy appearance profile. He's drawn pretty well to get a good toe into the race, and he's proven on the ground as well. So he can travel very well, but not always find off the bridle. But if this is his day, then you're getting a decent enough compensation at the prices. But I think there's other stronger fancies later on, and I'm much more swayed by what Peter Michael has just said. Andy Newton, for you?
Yeah, look, Arthur's Run, I think actually won this race as well in 2022. So it has got quite good history in this. Like you say, it came 3rd in it as well last year, only 5 pounds higher. The only weird thing with that is that I think Ross O'Brien was jocked up for it.
Yes.
Couple of days ago, and now he's riding the other Dunlop horse in the race, which is slightly better fancied in the market. Might be something in that, don't know. It's a tricky one, but I agree with you. I think Arthur's Realm is a sort of a fairly solid sort of each way price here. Was it 20-1 or something, 25-1? What else we've got in here? The Oceans of Dreams is what Holly's ride, first time cheek piece. I think that's a former Aidan O'Brien horse as well. I've been running sort of better company than this in the past, but don't know if that's going to be any value. And I think we've got some other horses that run, like Thunder Raw was 2nd last year, but that's 11 pounds higher, so put a line through that. Stats, look, 9 of the last 10 have been age 4 or 5, which, okay, look, quite a lot of them, and especially the ones at the top of the market. But I think there's still 7 there you can knock out. So that does make it a bit more manageable. I think was it 19 or so, around 20 runners in it. So 22 runners, yeah. So you can knock 7 out if you think that's going to carry on 4 and 5 year olds. And look, I think last year's winner as well is going again. Look Back Smiling, and that's probably the one I'm come down on very sort of tentatively. It's only £1 higher. Brandon Wilkie rides again, claims 5. I think he claimed 5 last year. Done quite well. If you watched that race back last year when it took this, I think it was off a break as well. And he's been flying as well at the moment. I think I had a little look, and this Brandon Wilkie, he's had I think 3 winners from his last 4 rides as of today. So he's operating at a 75% strike rate. So that will obviously change if he's got more rides on Friday and by the time this race comes. But yeah, look Back Smiling, Arthur's Realm. Let's go with the history in the race. I think that's the way to sort of play some of these early season sort of flat turf races.
Okay.
The one thing I just want to add about Tolstoy is he hadn't really done it much in his career, but he developed a habit of missing the break. But I think they've sorted that out for him because in his last run, he was a little bit slowly away, but nothing that would have scuppered his chances. So hopefully he breaks in level terms. If he does, I think 33 to 1's a nice each way price. Smaller stakes, obviously,
Okay, and just finally a quick reminder of Andy, your pick.
Was it Look Back Smiling and Arthur's Realm? They're both big prices, so.
We're both on that Arthur's Realm gravy train in a race that he's got a good record in. Okay, we'll switch to Kempton for the Queen's Prize Handicap London Stayers Series Final Qualifier, blah, blah, blah. It's over the 2 miles. Cambu is your 3 to 1 favourite with Jeff Banks bet, 7 to 2, Who's Glen for Oisin Murphy and Andrew Balding. And Golden Rules, who's been off the track for quite a while, but he's a classy horse on his day, and he's got Golden Horn Galileo pedigree, so he's going to absolutely relish this trip. Is he going to be ready to go, though, on his first start for a new trainer with Rab Havlin on board? Who knows? But what does Peter Michael fancy?
Yeah, look, I don't want to keep repeating myself. That again, it's hard to know where horses are at unless they've had a run or two. So I won't say that much more in the show, but it's things we have to bear in mind. But for that reason, I'm going to go with a horse that has fitness on the side here, the Irish runner Jabbar. Jared Leary trains him. He's booked Jamie Spencer. A progressive horse last season, a horse who I think had more to offer. Now, my one concern in handicaps, normally a few years ago, Irish horses going over, in flat hand jumps, you'd always be looking for reasons to back them. I mean, we wouldn't need much reasons to back them. Handicappers just going to town on horses, flat hand jumps, it kind of puts me off a bit. And I think if that doesn't ease in the next couple of years, Irish horses are really going to struggle in big handicaps in the UK, flat hand jumps. Obviously, that doesn't apply to horses who are, lightly raced and trainers that have kind of not raced them purposely for 2 or 3 months to hold on to the handicap marks. I'm talking about horses that are progressing to just get whacked too much in the handicap. But look, I'm still going to put him up here, but I am a bit wary that he's an Irish horse in the handicap. I think he has more to offer. He's won in Dundalk. Forget his last run. That was just an off day. I fancied him that day. He was beaten early on. Never really went the way he would. He travels well, quickens well, and stays well. Jamie Spencer's actually a good jockey booking for him. And I think, if he turns up and runs his race, which I see no reason why he shouldn't, with fitness in his side and there's question marks over a few of these, I think there's worse each way bets on a Saturday than him around 9-10 to 1.
Nice. Really liking that. And no Irish bias at all. That's a very clear, coherent argument made.
Well, I would just be careful with the Irish handicappers going over, I really would. I'll when we go to the bigger race, I'll touch on a point about that later on.
Okay, I think you're right, by the way. And the thing about that is I'm surprised that there aren't more British trainers taking advantage of the other way.
Absolutely.
Because you see what the British sprinters do when they come to Ireland. They crush.
Yeah.
So you should be coming over an awful lot more. This is advantageous to you. And why they're not doing that when the prize money is good is a bit surprising to me. Andy Newton, what do you reckon to our first race at Kempton?
Well, it's another tricky one, isn't it? I mean, Harry Fryhall's interesting, that Metier won the Chester Cup, didn't it, a couple of years back, and actually for St. Martin, 97 now. So, but I'm not quite sure back on the all-weather. I don't know. I think it's run before at Kempton and it looked a tad one pace. So look, the Gay Kellaway one, that had a bit of a purple patch in in the winter. That Al Razine won, I think, 3 on the spin, but I think that's gone up the weights now, possibly in the handicapper's grip because it came 6th last time out. So put a line through that. It's probably going to focus on the top 2, isn't it? I mean, look, Cambu is going to be the one that I think ran the Derby, didn't it? Was it 11th in the Derby? One on the all-weather at Newcastle, but just totally lost its way after winning that race on the all-weather at Newcastle. Had a wind off. It's been gelded since. Buick is obviously, eye-catching jockey booking. Trip would be a bit of a unknown. I think all its runs have been over like a mile and a half, so stepping up to 2. Don't know. I mean, they obviously think it's going to suit, and they actually ran against that Who's Glen as well last season when I think it was at Newcastle, and Cambu absolutely trounced it, and it's actually £11 worse off Who's Glen. So look, Cambu on the weights based on that run should take all the beating, but you just have to take the staying the trip on trust, really. So I don't know, it's probably a no bet race, really. And another thing to say is Andrew Balding, he's going well at the moment. His horses are flying in. So, and I think that one has looked as if it wants the 2 miles. Been running sort of on okay over sort of 1 mile 6. So I probably do tentative sort of Who's Glen only because like Cambu is just lost its way so badly. He's just taking a bit of a leap of faith really on the trip, and this wind op and the gelded op sort of helping. So, but yeah, no bet race probably really.
Yeah, I'm all over Campu. I think the first run after a wind up, first run after a gelding operation, William Buick booked to ride, class drop from the Derby into a handicap at Kempton. Now, there's an awful lot to like about this horse. He's one of the highest rated on time form, and to me he looks like a lightly raced horse who's probably well treated off a mark of 91 on his first run of the season. I think he'll go very, very close, and quotes 3-1 with Jeff Banks better are fair. Metier, who you mentioned beforehand, look, if he was to drop back to the level of class he was showing a season ago or even 2 seasons ago, he'd lap this lot, but who knows what you're going to get from him. I just would be slightly concerned about him, and I'd be very, very interested in Golden Rules, but I suspect he's going to need this. If he doesn't, he'd be hard to beat, but I thought Cambu was the most likely winner. I'd be happy enough to go with him in a race that should be run to suit him. Okay, back to Doncaster for the 225. This is the Cammidge Trophy Stakes. It's a listed race. Betting with Jeff Banks Bet sees Marshman at the top of the betting, around about 5-2 as we're recording. Witness Stand 13-2. Al Shabab Storm for Marco Gianni and Marco Buddy is a 9th shot. Iberian, who was a really high class 2-year-old, did all right. Did okay in a couple of starts last year. Finally got his act together in Southwell. That was not what they had in mind for him when things were starting out, but he was no match for City of Troy. But his form with Sunway and Hatem reads really, really well, particularly seeing as Sunway would go on to place in a Derby and won a Group 1 juvenile as well. He's having his second run after a wind up. If he's back to the level of form he was showcasing prior, then he could be very, very interesting. And Spycatcher's probably going to go well here too for a horse that's a bit frustrating to me, but for a trainer who could have a very, very big day indeed. More on him to come. Peter Michael, your thoughts on the 225 at Doncaster?
An interesting race, Emmet. I made a list of horses who've won first time out or after a lengthy break, and you have James's Delight. He's won twice. I think it was both seasonal debuts. Spycatcher's won 3 times first time out. Iberian won on his debut. Sophia Starlight has won once first time out. Perfect Part has won. Well, I think it was his debut as well. So at this time of year, you have to look at horses that go well fresh, unless obviously, as I said, they've had a run. But you're trying to, if you're looking for reasons to have a bet, you have to try and look for something like that and then look for an angle. I think it's significant that James's Delight has won twice first time out, and Spycatcher's won 3 times first time out. And I think Marshman's the other one highly rated, and Witness Stand is the highest rated of them all. You're probably going to get the winner out of those 4, I'd say. I'm going to go with James's Delight. As I said, he goes well fresh, and he's an improving horse. He's 4-year-old. He's open to more progression, and he's got Russell Ryan riding. And I think Clive Cox had a winner the other day as well. So I don't think he's had much runners in the last 2 weeks, but his horse is running well at shortish prices, which you'd expect. But at least they are running well. So yeah, look, it's a tough race. I don't know if there's any juice in any price of the horses there. I'd put James's Delight up as the likeliest winner, but 3-1 is probably the fair price.
Yeah, my note for this was James's Delight ticks every box track, pace setup, freshness, figures, pedigree, handles any ground, closes from off the pace. Soft ground would be ideal for him. Has the profile of a group winner in disguise. And that run behind.
I don't think it's going to be soft, lads. I think
no, it's not. No, it's going to be good. But he'd be
good soft.
He'd be fine on the ground. He'll be more than fine. I think he'll be ground on it. He won at Newmarket, beating 2 Tribes under Richard Kingscote last year on good ground at Newmarket. He's versatile, but I think he will probably be a little bit better on soft when he's stepping up into proper group races. But that run behind Kinda Blue, that was massive on Champions Day. Yeah. And this is a horse I really, really, really like. Andy Newton, if you endorse this horse as well, then, well, that's the end of it.
My middle name is James. And I'm delighted to go with it as well. James is delight, yeah.
Sounds as like you should be working on ITV racing, Andy. That's a good reason to back a horse.
Now. Just remember, ITV Racing is not for you, racing fans, and that's not Peter's words, and it's not Andy's words. That's the words of one of their pundits on a podcast. It's not for you. It's for the loose women audience, and now we all know. So let's watch Sky Sports Racing and Racing TV instead. Proceed, Andy.
Yeah, maybe we'll get Gemma Collins on next week.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Maura Higgins, special guest, Maura Higgins.
Yeah, look, back to the race. Look, Marshman, I think it comes second in the race last year, didn't it? And then it's done well since it's been gelded and winged up over the summer, and it's been 1-1-2. It's going to be fresh. Look, Cole Burke as well doesn't do that great here at Donny. He's 4-year-olds or older. He's just 1 from 39.
Oh no, I don't want to hear that about my tips for the Lincoln. Oh no.
But bearing in mind, he has got the 2 sort of challengers to James's delight. He trains obviously both Spycatcher and Marshman. Spycatcher, I mean, that the worry there would probably be his age. I mean, look, 7 of the last 9 of these have been won by 4 or 5-year-old. Probably want it a bit softer, I think, as well, Spycatcher. So yeah, look, I'm all over James's delight for exactly the reasons you said. Mainly the fresh thing. The fresh thing. It's won first time out for a couple of seasons now. Lost its way a bit, didn't it, last season after a good start. But yeah, look, and I think, is it £3 well in at the weights? It gets £3, isn't it, off Marshman? So, and they're rated exactly the same. So
and Witness Stand.
And Witness Stand, yeah. So look, James's delight all the way. Bang.
As you were talking, I started smiling, and that's because I realised what the thumbnail for this episode should be. It should be Gemma Collins and Maura Higgins. This show's not for you, racing fans. They're hot takes on the weekend's action. We get Sam Quek on as well. I have no problem with Sam Quek. Fair play to her. Do you think Sky would get Sam Quek to cover the football? Do you think Channel 4 would get her in to cover Formula 1? No. So it's just another example of insecure coverage. And now that's all been confirmed for you by one of their pundits. Don't take our word for it. You take their word for it, because that's what they're telling you on Racing Podcasts. How's that podcast doing, by the way? Yeah? Everything going all right over there? Everything smooth with it? Yeah? And no controversies whatsoever? Isn't that great for them? Very, very nice. Okay, let's move swiftly along to the 2-4. We're very glad to have your company on this show, by the way. We are very, very glad to have you with us. Andy's glad of it. Peter's glad of it. I'm glad of it. We're glad of your company, and we hope you enjoy the content. And it's all a bit of crack at the end of the day. But we are horse racing fans, and we will talk to you as horse racing fans. All right. 240, Kempton. Big handicap, middle distance qualifier again. We're over the mile 3. Mount Atlas heads your betting with Jeff Banks bet at 9-2. Tenesius Fox, who's got class from back in the day, 15-2 shot. Oisin Murphy for the Red Hot Andrew Balding. And Max Mayhem, one of the best named horses in training just because it's a class name, is a 17-2 shot. Who are you siding with, though, Peter Michael?
Yeah, to be honest, I struggled here, lads, to find one that I fancy or one that I thought was a bit of value. I really did. There was nothing sticking out at me, but I'm going to put up the Alan King trained horse. What's the name of it? Paradis?
Yes.
Hold on, let me bring it up here. Hold on.
Vanessa.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sorry, I'm bringing it up in the Racing Post. Paradias, I think it is, or whatever it is. Yeah, it is a he. I always get that wrong. He's played 17 times out of 28 runs, one win in place. He's won 2 from 3 in the all-weather. But you see, but I'm looking at him and I don't know. I mean, he's off 100 now. I don't know if there's anything left off that mark for him. Whilst I do think he will run well, he's far more likely to place than win. But he's the only one I could come up with, to be honest, because I said I was struggling, and at least he's fitness on the side. He's very consistent, and he's got good reasons all weather for him. So that was the one I was going to put up. But I was as well. I was half thinking of putting him up, but I'm trying to avoid that jockey. So I'm going to go with Alan King's horse each way, minimum stakes.
Okay. Funny enough, I'm with him as well. He's proven over the course and distance he handles.
How do you pronounce the name, Emmet? Help me out there.
I thought Paradis.
Paradis, okay. Sorry.
But bear in mind, that's me saying that. I wouldn't.
I know, you know your stuff.
No, I wouldn't necessarily be trusting my pronunciation. I couldn't even say pronunciation. And you're coming to me for the correct pronunciation of the Alan King horse in the 240.
You're far more intellectual than I am.
I doubt it, my man. I doubt it. Let's just go with the number 5 horse coming out of stall 7 in the 240 at Kempton. David Probert will be guiding to victory. I actually thought there might be a little bit of improvement baked in, and I'm hoping that his race fitness will help. But yeah, I think there might very well be. I did just, in my quest to make sarcastic jokes about ITV racing, completely forgot to mention the fact that William Knight horse in the previous race we were discussing, Frost at Dawn, I have a funny feeling that horse is going to run better than people think. There's definitely a turn of foot there. Comes back from Meydan with pretty solid sprint form. Wouldn't say that horse is exposed, and I know that Jim Crowley was going to be riding the horse in the big Group 1 at York last year and was very excited about the prospect, even though at the time he was a 50-1 shot. I wouldn't be shocked if that horse runs well, but for all that I'm saying that, I'm still with James's Delight, but I just think that's a horse that could outrun his odds. Right, most likely winner for Peter and for me is Paradis in the 240 at Kempton. Andy Newton, what do you say?
Look, Andrew Baldwin's got 3 in here. Liber Power, Mount Atlas, which is Hayley Turner's. That looks like being the shortest price of the trio. And he's also got that. How do you say it? Is it Timaeus Fox?
Where's it gone?
Timasius Fox?
Timasius Fox, yeah.
Timasius Fox, right? And look, Oisin Murphy has picked this one. I don't know if he had the pick. I mean, you would imagine he would have done. Course winner. Last time it won, I think, was actually here in January 2024. It's only £1 higher. Showed a good turn of foot that day. And look, it's just come right back down the handicap after sort of bombing out since winning that. It's all where the record is. 8 runs, 3 wins. I think it's been in the top 3. So that's probably going to be the main one. That's fairly priced as well, 10-1. But it's worth mentioning the Killy Beck's Warrior as well, only because it came second in this race last year, and I think it was trained by someone else then. It's now trained with George Baker. Who won the race last year? George Baker with another horse, and it's £11 lower than last year. It's mad, and it's been running in Bahrain fairly recently. January, February, and March had a runner in each of those months, so it will be a tad fitter than most of them. So yeah, it used to be with Charlie Johnson, and it moved at the end of the year to George Baker. But it's what's interesting that 1, it came second in the race last year. 2, it's £11 lower than it ran in it last year, and 3, George Baker won the race with another horse 12 months ago. But anyway,
it's all aligning, Andy. It's all aligning. 3 o'clock Doncaster is the Doncaster Mile Stakes. It's a listed race. Betting with Jeff Banks Bet is headed. Please hold caller. Your call is very important to us at Final Furlong Podcast Terrace. Botanical is your 3-1 favourite with Jeff Banks Bet. Liberty Lane, in fact, is the 5-2 favourite with Jeff Banks Bet in a very competitive betting heat. Botanical 3-1. Dancing Gemini, classic place last season, comes back for Roger Teal. Kieran Schumacher on board, an 11-4 shot. Point line is 6-1. Witch Hunter needs a fast pace to be at his best. Is an 8-1 shot. Chic Columbine heads a list of horses in double figure prices. Peter Michael, this is a really, really fascinating race at 3 o'clock. Who are you going to be siding with?
Yeah, it's a very, very interesting race. start the season. I don't have a strong fancy here again, lads, unfortunately, but I'm going to put up Botanical. He's £3 to find with Liberty Lane, so obviously that's not ideal. But look, at this time of the year, that doesn't mean much. It doesn't mean much anyway in most of the races. £3 not that much. A check here, a check there during the race can make the difference. But he was an improver the last 2 seasons and goes well fresh. And he's had a wind up and he has tongue tie on for the first time here. I'm thinking he can continue his progression this season. As I said, he goes well fresh. He's Billy riding, which is a good thing. He's a kid on fire. Look, it's a bit of a guessing game, isn't it? We don't know what level of fitnesses these horses are turning up at. Liberty Lane's a class horse, as is Dancing Gemini. Point Linus as well is rated 112. There's a few others in there. So it's a bit of a guessing game, and it's, as I said, we're at the time of year that you have to take everything with a pinch of salt. But I'm going to put him up because he goes well fresh and he's improving, and there has to be a chance now as a 5-year-old that he can continue his improvements from 4 to 5. That's the only reason I'm going with him for.
Yeah, I'm kind of sick that I didn't back Liberty Lane in the big handicap at Newmarket. I don't know. I must have banged my head or something. I just wasn't thinking clearly at the time because it just seems blindingly obvious that he was going to go really well. But there was a massive draw bias that day, which he was a major beneficiary of. And I don't think he finds a whole lot off the bridle for all that he was a really good winner that day. I think when he's challenged, just comes up a little bit short, and this is going to be a tough race. So, look, he might go and win, and if he does, fair play. I think your horse is really interesting, Botanical, particularly first run off a wind up. I kind of get the feeling this is Dancing Gemini's time. They probably shouldn't have run him in the Derby. They probably did because it was the prestige of the race and you only get one shot at it. But that performance in the French Guineas when the ground went completely against him was a massive, massive run from him that day. That was his seasonal debut. Probably didn't have any chance in the Eclipse either. The one race where he could showcase his ability was at Goodwood, and he got massively worked up in the parade ring beforehand and basically blew his race before it even began. Kieran Schumark is back on board after riding him in the Eclipse. The run against Sharon's not bad. That's proper form. And I'm going to side with Dancing Gemini to get back into the winner's enclosure and hopefully showcase his class. He's definitely a horse who's got lots more to come, and maybe he will showcase it on Saturday. If not Saturday, I think he will later in the season, and good ground is going to be crucial to him being at his best, but good to soft should be okay. Andy Newton for you?
Yeah, well, actually, last year's winner was Chara in this race, wasn't it? So that obviously went on to great things after taking it. So,
good
yeah,
point.
I can see. Good point, yeah. But I can see where you're coming from with Dancing Gemini. I don't know. I think personally, I just like to see it run just one more, just first, and then we'll see. I do agree. I think it could have a big season ahead. I just to sort of, neatly been running over 7 furlongs up to a mile and a half. Now it's back to a mile. I don't know. I just think I just like to see it first. But I think it's got every chance. Witch Hunter's probably worth a little squeak. It is exposed only because the Han and Camp are going well, and it's going to be fit. It's been running on new weather. Got a bit to find. Liberty Lane and Botanical. I mean, look, they haven't won outside of Handicap Company, I don't think. So that would be the slight sort of, like you say, Liberty Lane, does it find as much? And that's another Cole Burke one. We mentioned his strike rate with his older horses isn't particularly great at Donny, 1 from 39. But look, this race has gone to a 4 or 5-year-old pretty much like 10 of the last 11 years. So those first 3 at the top of the market, Botanical, Dancing Gemini and Liberty Lane, all tick that age stat. And I think Botanical, with Billy the Kid on, the wind up, won first time out last season. We know it goes well fresh. And actually, used to be trained by Roger Varian, didn't it?
Yeah.
And it's moved, and it's now with George Bowie.
Yeah.
But Varian used to have a brilliant record in this race. Whether there's something in that or not, I don't know, not with him anymore. But he's won it quite a lot of times, like 4 or 5 times, I think. 4 times since 2016. So anyway, look, Botanical's going to be the one I'm coming down on in a nutshell. So yeah.
Okay, so Botanical for both Andy and for Peter. It's Dancing Gemini for me. Hopefully we'll be able to build on his classic placed performances last season and showcase himself to be a Group 1 horse later in the season. We'll switch to Kempton even. That was Doncaster. We're going to Kempton for the 3:15. We've got a couple of horses, old friends of ours, who are returning. One of them who's switched to these shores having been racing in the United States, an American trained horse who really shone at Royal Ascot She is now going to be with the Gosdens going forward. It's her second run for them, but we haven't seen her since Ascot over a year ago, and we only saw her twice last season, and one of those was in America on Sky Sports Racing at Gulfstream. Crimson Advocate is back for her seasonal debut. She's a 10-1 shot with Jeff Banks bet. We haven't seen Shawari since second to Ylang Ylang in the big Fillies Mile at Newmarket back in 2023. She returns. Ollie Sangster and Jamie Spencer teaming up at 9-2 shot. And Soprano, who we last saw at the Breeders' Cup, makes her seasonal debut. William Buick on board for the Bowie team, and she's the odds-on favourite at 11-8 on. This is a really interesting race. I think the betting is wrong if Shawari is right, but could you be confident that Shawari is actually going to be ready to go, having missed 533 days of racing action? Peter, Michael, what are your thoughts?
Well, my notes, exactly like you said, it is a very interesting race for this time of year. I mean, you have Soprano, who brings top-class form into this, and Shawari, when we last saw her, she ran behind two smart horses, Carla's Way and Ylang Ylang. At the time, Ylang Ylang was in form. So for this time of year, it's good to see them in action. Soprano 4-5 is what I'm seeing here. It's hard to be backing horses at 4-5 at this time of the year when you don't know what fitness levels are going to be turning up. I imagine she'll be turning up here somewhere around 85 to 90% fit. But she's by far, I say far and away, the most likely winner. You have to respect Shawari, but obviously I don't know if it was documented, it probably was. Look into it. She's obviously had a serious injury, I'd imagine. Normally with that length of time off, it's a tendon, but with a filly of this calibre, I don't know if they'd bring her back in training. So I probably should have checked. Does anybody know what the reason was for the 2 years layoff?
I kind of remember vaguely from last year hearing that she was going to miss the season, but I can't fully remember what the reason was.
Yeah, well, my comment there is probably stupid because I presume if she did have a bad injury like that, they'd probably just retire. So, I don't know. Anyway, I don't know why she's been on for so long, but obviously something was wrong somewhere. But then again, the other way to look at it is they've kept her in training when she's already valuable broodmare. So, they've kept her in training for one more season. She's only 4, I suppose, so that plays a big part in it as well. Yeah, look, Soprano is the most likely winner here. Her form is rock solid, and even at 85, 90% fit, she ticks all the boxes. She's only run once in the all-weather. I think she was 5th, but
Is that ITV ringing you, Andy, saying don't make any more jokes about that pundit telling everybody that ITV racing's not for racing fans?
It's Peter's race.
Oh, we forgot about that. Hold on. But anyway, look, I'll wrap this up. Look, I won't be backing her at 4-5. I think she's by far and away the most likely winner, but there's too many question marks to answer. I think Henry's horse is a bit interesting around 16, 20-1. More than likely won't win, but could run into a place. The fact that he's bringing her over and he's booked Oisin Murphy, that alone has to catch the eye, and she's unexposed, but she has a good bit to find in form. I mean, she has 21 or 22 pounds or so to find in Soprano. But look, at this time of year, that might sneak a place, and you never know if the others don't run to form. She could cause an upset.
Yeah, and particularly with Henry bringing the horse over, but also getting the services of Oisin Murphy very much catches the eye for sure. This is surely just a prep race for Crimson Advocate. I know that she's related to Milers, but she's a speedball.
Yeah.
I imagine this is just like settle her in, get her used to everything, and go from there. Okay, this is a fascinating race. Peter Michael has a bet in it. Andy Newton has his lay of the day. They are not the same horses.
I have a tip in it, yeah.
The boys want to watch the race, so we're going to let them do it. I would love to be able to show you this race, but for broadcast rights purposes, we're not allowed to do so. It would be unethical for us to try to showcase this race on the live stream. We're just not allowed to do such a thing. So instead, we will look at the boys' faces for the reaction to how this one pans out.
Which one have you got? I don't even know who you've got.
I tipped up Reigning Prophet, but it was a small tip. It was just average fancy points.
So remember, we're not allowed to show you this race.
I'm going to get going too late here. Yeah,
what colour is yours?
The red running on to third, or...
Oh, no, that's all right. It's just overtaken the lay. We're all right. Come on.
Yeah, well, Andy, mine was third.
Good man, Andy. Andy
Right.
Newton gets yet another lay of the day.
Well done, Andy.
You got, we're drifted out. That was all right. We're all right.
It drifted because of your lay of the day, Andy. Once you put the lay of the day up, everyone knew.
A lot of them do, weirdly. Maybe I should, do some insider trading and get on them early doors before I put them up and then, trade out. But anyway, no. I mean, don't want to get in trouble, do I? Betfair Towers. I think they're enough offer at the moment. But going back to this Snowdrop Filly stake, it's going to tell us all we need to know. Like you say, Crimson Advocate, the trip and first time out is probably going to be setting up for something else later in the season. Shuari, if she comes back to the form, like you say, in the Fillies Mile, then it's not going to be a 9-2 shot. But why is she 9-2? They obviously, look, Ollie Sankster has had a couple of winners in the last couple of weeks, so that's something to go on. But so is George Bowie. So look, Soprano is the obvious call here, forming the book, and view it rides. So let's just not overcomplicate this one, I think.
Yeah, I get it. I completely get it. Shuari beats Soprano as a 2-year-old, and there's going to be a really strong pace in this race, and it's entirely possible that they are genuinely going to stretch out Crimson Advocate and they want her to be a miler now, and maybe she'll improve for that. I just suspect that she is a speedball and this is just a race to get her ready for the rest of the season, maybe see where they are. The fact that they're going to get such a strong pace to aim at means that Jamie Spencer might just come there full of running with a horse who's going to be not peaked for this race, but ready to do herself justice, I would say. Especially after missing a year, they're not going to just be 70% fit. You're going to have her reasonably ready to go. And Soprano has a long season ahead of her. So at 9-2, I'll take the swing with Shuari and hope that juvenile class is there. She beat Fallen Angel, she beat Soprano, she beat Ylang Ylang. Ylang Ylang was a very, very, very good horse who for one reason or another just kept on bombing out due to various different injuries and frustrating things. But they thought a lot of her at Coolmore, and she had that top-class juvenile form. So I'm with Shuari, but for reasons that may not be as easy to explain. Let's move on. Final race. It's the Lincoln. It's the big betting race of the weekend. And the betting is headed by Carl Burke, who you've just been told by Andy Newton does not have a great record at Doncaster. Bear that in mind, as his Thunder Run has been smashed. Was shoved out to 6-1, is now back into 5-1 favourite, and you would imagine has been lined up for this race for a while. Midnight Gun is a 7-1 shot. Just usurps Native Warrior, the second string for Carl Burke, with Kieran Schumacher taking the ride. 15-2. Latem, who's got really good high-class handicap form, including finishing in front of Thunder Run on the Balmoral Handicap on Champions Day. That was a superb run that day. Ryan Sexton on board for Julie Camacho, and was second in this race to Mr. Professor a year ago, is a 10-1 shot with Jeff Banks bet. Who is going to come out on top in the Lincoln? Peter Michael.
Well, look, 22 on it. I could give you 20 and I mightn't get the winner.
That's the spirit.
Well, you have to be honest. You have to let the viewers know. Most of them know how competitive this race is anyway. We don't know if the draw is going to, I know they're probably, I don't know if they split or not in Doncaster. I'd imagine they normally come up one big group in the middle. But if they split, we just don't know. And even if they do come up in one group, the draw might have, there might be a bias one way or another. But look, there's three I was looking at nice enough prices. The first one was the Tony Martin horse, Randy, who actually went up £10 for his 3/4 length win at the Curragh on the at the start of the flat season, the Irish Lincolnshire. Won well, came from far back, won well, has a £5 penalty for this race, so effectively £5 well in. Tony Martin's booked Ross. That, you have to respect that horse, will have a chance. Oliver Show's another one as well, who I think a race of this nature will suit perfectly. Now rated 95. I don't know how much more in hand he has, but he could run well in this type of race. I could see him finishing the race off well. And another one of the prize who has good classy form, but form kind of tailed off and then was running abroad was Galeron. I think he used to be with, it was with Charlie. It is still with Charlie Hills, but it left Charlie Hills to run in Australia for a while, and now it's back with Charlie, and he's around 33-1. So those are the three I'm looking at. If I was going to put one up, I'd choose between Oliver Shaw and Randy. So maybe you might allow me to pick the two of them as my 2 pins for this race.
Yeah, of course.
One's drawn low and one's drawn middle. So I'll go with a Randy and Oliver show, and I'll be putting something very small in Gallagher on as well.
Okay. And that makes perfect sense. Oliver Show with Billy the Kid on board. We're not allowed to say his full name. It's just Billy the Kid, and that's it. 14-1 Oliver Show. A Randy is a 12-1 shot. I'm afraid I'm not quite as brave as you, Peter, but I will just go for one horse. Thunder Run. This is a group horse and a handicap. I have no doubt about it. That run in the Balmoral was massive, and he was the only horse on the pace to finish in the top 10. Just that was an impossible position for him to go and win from, and he was sent off the 7-2 favourite for that race. He runs off the same mark. Really good at York. Again, he was attacked on both sides that day, and he managed to fend off all comers. His performance at Hamilton, the race IQ data that day reads very, very well too. This is going to be a group horse, and if he was lining up in a nice little conditions race, you'd be backing him at odds on. You're getting 5-1 on a Lincoln. Let's go, Andy Newton. What do you reckon?
He just needs another trainer. He needs to have a trainer change between now and Saturday. That's the problem.
One of the best trainers in the UK, but let's put him with somebody else for one race because there's some statistical anomaly.
You know what? I got a vague memory of sort of barking on about Colbert in one of the podcasts last year and saying, he's got rubbish stats at this track, and then he ended up having like 2 or 3 winners on the afternoon there. So
and you haven't learned your lesson, Andy. You haven't learned your lesson.
Yeah, I felt a right Burke. But anyway, look, Mr. Professor won it last year. Back-to-back winners. I think that the last one was ages ago. We can rule that one out.
Like 19
It was, yeah. I think there's only been 2 ever as well. So, look, Latan, that was second, as you mentioned, last year. It's only up £2 for that. It was drawn 14, I think, last year, and it's 12 now. So, very similar run could be on the cards. Randy, look, Peter, look, you've missed me sort of kiboshing with the stats, haven't you? But I don't even know if there's ever been an Irish.
Yeah, we have an awful record in this race.
Yeah, and not also the age. I mean, look, 20 of the last 21, almost all of the last 21 winners have been 6 or younger. So that would be a big sort of neg for that Arandi for me. So, and there's a few others age sort of 7 or older, but yeah, look, most of them are younger. Look, Gosden's got quite a good record on it, and he's got an interesting one, that Orne, which has been running in a lot better races, and he's got a claimer on. Might be worth a tiny little each way dabble. And the other trainer who does well in this is Haggis. Obviously, he's got 4 wins in it. I think he's equal joint top trainer with some bloke I've never heard of in the whatever, God knows when. So if he wins today on Saturday, then he's going to be on his own the most successful. And he's only got one runner, that Godwinson, drawn 3, which is a little bit of a slight worry. But I think 2 of the last 3 winners have been drawn quite low. 2 have been drawn 2 and 4, so there is something to go on there. And yeah, I just think that's gone well fresh in the past as well. First time out, Kieran Fallon's riding. Definitely bring some money for it because it's 14s or so now, and it was 20s or so the other day. And look, if you do like the old stats, the 3 that I sort of came down on based on the weight stat, the draw stat, and the age stat are Native Warrior, Alpha Crucix, is it? The Gary Moore horse. Mm-hmm. I think that was 4th race last year. And one right at the bottom that I think just squeaked in called Old Cop.
Oh.
So they're the 3, if you do like your stats and your trends, they tick the weight, the draw, and the age. But I think my actual sort of bet's going to be the Haggis horse, Godwinson. I think based on the Haggis record in the race, and I think this has been primed for to get him to be the top trainer in his own right.
Okay, I did think Old Cock was interesting. What a weird name.
Yeah.
I thought it was very, very interesting, actually. One of the reasons is that they could have run him in the mile, and yet they're going for this. Now, I presume they're going for this race because it's more valuable, it's more prestigious, and they've snuck in at the very, very bottom of the weights, and they didn't think that they may not have thought that they would have. But they've got enough 9 stone 1. Callum Rodriguez rides. The yards runners to form is 100%. And he's got some very, very interesting form from from last season as well to suggest that he is quite a progressive horse. That performance at Haydock on good to firm ground was very, very good and would read well in the context of this race too. I just wondered if this was a little bit too early for him. But he's 25-1. So if he's fitting the trend profile and they've got him in there, yeah, he needs to step forward. But he's rated 91 and is getting a significant weight from Thunder Run, who's rated 100. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if he was to go and run a big race. So listen, Peter's gone for 2. I'll go for 2. Old Cock.
So are you saying Old Cock is going to rise to the occasion?
Hey!
I couldn't resist that again. I'll leave now. I'll go. I'll go.
This podcast comes equipped with sound effects as well.
He likes good to firm, doesn't he, Old Cock?
Oh.
Come on there.
I thought it would be softy before it's soft.
There's a little blue pill to help with that for Old Cock. Okay, so I'm going to put him up each way. Only because he snuck in at the bottom of the weights and he fits the trend profile, but I really, really like Thunder Run. And I think he's going to go very, very close, and he might very well be my nap of the weekend. But your nap of the weekend, Andy is...
Well, look, I think Soprano's going to it's the obvious one, and that's the shortest price of the weekend. But we're not going to put up a 4 or 5 shot, are we? I think look, the one I just said in this race in the Lincoln, that Godwinson, the Haggis horse. As I said, got a great record in this. Goes well fresh. Kieran Fallon rides. Draw 3 is okay, and the Oisin Murphy one at Kempton. Can't remember what time. I think it was 2:40. That the Fox. Only because Baldwin's got 3 in the race, and I just think it's interesting that Murphy's picking this one. They're both going to be double figure prices, each way double. Off we go. Godwinson, the Fox.
I like that a lot. Each way double. My nap is in the Brocklesby, and it's not. Peter Michael, what's your nap of the weekend?
We're probably better off. There's nothing absolutely sticking out at me this weekend, lads. As I said, it's not a great time of year, but we're going to be doing our best. I'm going to put up one for Friday in Lingfield in the 432 is about 8-1. I think at each way price. Commendation. Nice. I think that will be winning soon, but he'd want him to go fast, and there should be a pace angle there, but hopefully it will materialise. And if they do go fast, he'll be finishing very well. The owner has 2 in it, so hopefully hopefully they're both out there to do the best they can. So I think he's overpriced around 7-8-1. And then on Saturday, there's nothing at the moment sticking out to me, but I saw at 33-1. I was thinking him or Jabbar for Saturday. Jabbar is 10-1, but I think Tolstoy has the similar chance that Jabbar has of winning, and the price difference is obviously massive. So I'll go Tolstoy 33-1 and hoping he breaks in level terms.
Good man. I'm liking that. Mine is not as brave at all. It is James's Delight. James's Delight, nap of the weekend, hopefully, to go and get the gravy for us. I was this close to Thunder Run, but Andy Newton talked me out of it because of the worrying trend stats for Carl Burke. Don't worry about that. He'll win. Thunder Run will win the Lincoln. Not concerned at all. But James Delight is the nap because I think that's a group horse in the making. Okay, that's it. Peter Michael, great to have you back on the show. Looking forward to having you back on next week as well. Next week's an easy one for you, Peter. It's just the Grand National.
Just the Grand National.
That's all you got to do. Tell us who's going to... Real simple.
I might get my daughter to help me with that one.
Real simple, Andy. You just got to give your lay in the Grand National, the horse who absolutely will not be placed. Not a hope, says Andy Newton. We'll have you, Maura Higgins, and Gemma Collins on the thumbnail. Not a hope.
Yeah.
It's the tag. Are we going to do that? Are we doing that thumbnail? Is it going to be Maura Higgins and Gemma Collins in the thumbnail? All right, great. Okay. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Your support of the show means an awful lot to us. Have you hit the like button yet? Have you hit the like button? Hit the like button now. Please do hit the like button. We're not needy at all. We're just asking you to hit the like button. Why haven't you hit the like button yet? Have you hit the like button? Peter, did you hit the like button? Andy, did you hit the like button? Hit the like button. Hit the like button now. All the YouTube content creators are going on about that. And if you haven't signed up for Jeff Banks Bet yet, well, do it now. FFP 500 is your promo code. You're eligible for 10% of any net losses back after your first month, after your first 2 months, after your first 3 months of betting. 10% of any net losses back after your first 3 months of betting only with Jeff Banks Bet FFP. 500 is your promo code. From Andy Newton, Peter Michael, and me, Emmet Kennedy. We will talk to you on Monday. Look after yourself and each other. God bless.
The Final Furlong Podcast is proudly brought to you by Jeff Banks Bet. Get up to £500 refunded as real money for new Jeff Banks online accounts after your first month of betting. Use promo code FFP500 at jeffbanks.bet.